Well, hello everybody and welcome to Pragmach. I want to have a little discussion with you guys about the Surface laptops. You might be looking for a brand new laptop, you might be looking for a dependable Microsoft laptop, and you might have realized that, well, there's been a delay of the Surface Laptop 4. That's the rumor anyway. So you're kind of stuck with what there is out there, and well, you might need a good, reliable Windows laptop right now, and you wanted a Surface laptop. Complicating factors, or perhaps solving them, depending who you are, there is a smaller junior Surface laptop, and that is the Surface Laptop Go. Coming in at 12.4 inches, it was recently announced, and it is now the smaller laptop complementing the bigger Surface Laptop 3, which comes in at 13.5 inches, and the larger variant with 15 inches. So for today's video, we will be having a look at comparing the Surface Laptop 3, the 13.5 edition, to the Surface Laptop Go with that 12.4 inch screen. It's only 1.1 inches of differentiation diagonally on those screens, and it's a good discussion to have. They also have very similar processors, RAM, and storage configurations. It makes a very compelling case for a good old comparative approach. Let's get started. I wanted to get everybody oriented today on the two different devices, so we're going to start with the Surface Laptop Go. This 2020 device, as mentioned earlier, has a 12.4 inch pixel sense display, and the resolution is 1536 by 1024. It's a bit of a weird resolution, and that has to do with the 3:2 aspect ratio. It's a little bit taller, less wide than we're used to seeing with a widescreen 16:9 display. The processor that comes with all configurations is a 10th generation Intel Core i5 processor. The configuration we're going to be looking at today comes with 8 gigabytes of RAM. However, there is a 4 gigabyte variant, but we're not going to be looking at that one, and that has to do with doing a fair comparison when we get into the Surface Laptop 3. Moving on now to battery life, Microsoft looks to promise up to 13 hours of typical device usage. That is their words, not mine. And for I/O, or for the connections, you have one USB-C, one USB-A, 3.5mm headphone jack, and a Surface Connect port. It's weird that in today's age I have to be surprised by seeing a 3.5mm headphone jack, but I'm glad it's there. For sign-in, you have one touch sign-in with the fingerprint reader, and because we're looking at the 128 gigabyte variant and up, they all do have that one touch sign-in with the fingerprint reader. For weight, the Surface Laptop Go comes in at 2.44 pounds. The graphics I'm going to talk about a little bit deeper, but it does come with Intel UHD graphics. Alright, having a look now at the Surface Laptop 3. 3 is a bit bigger, a little bit beefier. It is 13.5 inches with the same 3:2 aspect ratio. The resolution, however, scales way up, giving us a 2256 by 1504 resolution display. Similar to the Surface Laptop Go, it is also a touchscreen. Processor-wise, we have a quad-core 10th generation Intel Core i5. For RAM configurations, to keep things even, we're only going to look at the 8 gigabyte RAM variant. And for storage, we have 128 gigabytes and 256 gigabytes. And that is for comparison purposes only. I do believe the device scales all the way to half a terabyte. For battery life, we have Microsoft promising up to 11.5 hours of typical device usage, and that's their words, not mine. I'm always very skeptical with all battery claims. However, that's all we have to go on, as everyone's going to be using it different, and it is really hard to come up with an unbiased test. So we'll just take that as a guide. For I/O, or for connections, you've got one USB-C, one USB-A, the 3.5mm jack, and the Surface Connect port. For sign-in, we're using our face with this one with Windows Hello Face sign-in, not our fingers. And for weight, it does depend a little bit depending on whether you get the cobalt blue or platinum, which have lighter materials on them than the metallic matte black or the sandstone. So you're looking at 2.79 pounds to 2.84 pounds, less than half a pound heavier than the Surface Laptop Go. And for graphics, we get Intel Iris Plus graphics. Alright, I was cheating along the way and starting to compare them, but to have the formal compare, to look at these two devices and what they have to offer, let's have a look starting with the RAM. RAM. If you look at the RAM, they're identical. It's the same type of RAM, it's the same amount of RAM. So it is that 8 gigabytes of LPDDR4X RAM. The one thing that isn't clear to me are the clock speeds on the RAM, whether the Surface Laptop 3 has a faster clocked RAM than the Surface Laptop Go. It's hard to tell, but at face value, it is the same type of RAM and the same amount of RAM. Moving on to the processor, here's where we get some more similarities. They both have quad-core processors. Sure, they have slight variations, but they're the exact same generation. They are Intel Ice Lake 10 nanometer architecture chips, and having a look at userbenchmark.com, you can tell right away that they have practically the same performance. Right down the line, you see they're very similar. Again, at face value, it seems that both these processors are going to deliver the same power, and both the larger Surface Laptop and the smaller Go are going to have comparable performance. One thing to note, however, the onboard graphics are a little bit different. I did allude and mention it that there were differences, and that's where performance is going to start to vary. A little more on that in a moment. Storage-wise, where we're looking at the 128 gigabyte and 256 gigabyte variants, they are identical. They both offer SSD drives. It's one more similarity between the two devices. So when it comes to RAM, storage, and processor, very, very similar here. Let's get into the nuances of what's a little bit different. Let's start with the graphics. The Surface Laptop 3 has Intel Iris Plus graphics, whereas the Surface Laptop Go has Intel UHD graphics. This is where Iris Plus is far superior. Looking at userbenchmark.com, again, a great tool to compare. I'll leave a link to it in the description if you're interested. Right away, it's clear when you see these two side by side, you get 86% faster speed from Iris Plus graphics. When you go down the line, it is pretty much better on all fronts. And when you look at some of the extras on the benchmark, it's even clearer. 91% on lighting effects, over 200% in reflection handling. In general, it's just way better graphics. And this is where the Surface Laptop 3 is going to shine and outpace the Surface Laptop Go. It's going to be on gaming, any sort of extensive photo or video editing. When you go to export, when you go to render, when you go to do any of these things, you're using that onboard GPU, and you're going to see the benefits right away from going with the Surface Laptop 3. Finally, on what should have been clear from the start, display-wise, the Surface Laptop 3 has the larger display. It has a 1.1 inch advantage over the Surface Laptop Go. There's something else we need to talk about, and that's that it has a much higher resolution display. When we look at the display resolutions and you look at the Surface Laptop Go, it has a 1536 by 1024 resolution display. That's less than 1080p. That equals 148 pixels per inch versus the 201 pixels per inch delivered by the Surface Laptop 3, which is a 1080p display. So with that 25% higher pixel density, you're getting the ability to watch HD video properly. The Surface Laptop Go has a sub 1080p screen. It is something to note. You're really not missing the 1080p by that much, but it's not going to be optimal for video or photo editing. But then again, if you're going to be doing those things a lot, would you really be looking at a Surface Laptop Go? Pricing wise is where things get really tricky when you're looking at these two devices. And the reason it's tricky is because the Surface Laptop Go just came out very recently, whereas the Surface Laptop 3 has been kicking around for about a year. And so because it's been around about a year, it is possible to hunt down some really good sales, and quite often. We're going to start off with just regular pricing. If you wanted to compare devices on equal grounds, we'll start with the 128 gigabyte, 8 gigabyte RAM option. The Surface Laptop Go comes in at $699, whereas the Surface Laptop 3 comes in at $999. It is a $300 premium, more than 30%. For your typical consumer, they're going to have to ask themselves the $300 question. What am I going to be using this device for? Am I using it as more on-the-go spreadsheet management, managing documents, email, consuming a little bit of media? Well then, I think it's hard to justify another $300 to jump up to the next level. So it's hard to justify it if you're not going to use it. And if you're looking for portability, you're probably not looking for a lot of storage. Again, if you're not creating on it, if you're not doing video or photo, I don't know that you would need more than 128 gigabytes of storage. For portable productivity, the Surface Laptop Go would save you $300 while still providing a very strongly powered device. Now, if you are looking for a little little bit more of that power and you do think you're going to do a little bit of photo, a little bit of video, and this might be more of your main computer, I do think the Surface Laptop 3 is the way to go. And where it gets interesting on the next tier up, if you're saying you're going to use this as a primary device, you're going to want more storage. And once you go into more storage, that's where the Surface Laptop Go loses a bit of its price advantage. The 8GB, 256GB storage option of the Surface Laptop Go is $899, where the Surface Laptop 3 is $1299. Looking at it under normal pricing, it is a $400 jump. However, this model is regularly on sale for $1099. And when you look at it from a $1099 to $899 discussion, that $200 is really easy for me to say, if you have it, get the Surface Laptop 3. If you're not focused on portability, if you're not focused on the go, well, I do think the Surface Laptop 3 is going to give you a lot more value. You think you're going to use it? If this is your main computer, I think it's going to be great value. So as I alluded to before, it is a tale of two laptops. The Surface Laptop Go was designed to be portable and capable enough to do day-to-day tasks. But the Surface Laptop 3 does have that potential and be the only computer you use. It is just big enough. Even though it loses a bit of that portability, it is just big enough to have that productivity. And I think for the majority of consumers, they're going to get a lot more out of Surface Laptop 3. Whereas the Surface Laptop Go, while being a wonderful and competent device, is more of a niche device for those looking for portability above all else. Thank you very much. Thank you for listening. If you have anything to add, please do leave a comment down below. If I've missed anything, please let me know. And if you've enjoyed the video, please do give it a like and consider subscribing to the channel. Thanks again from Pragmach.